start. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be ranking the albums of Slipknot. We've done System of a Down, we've done Deftones, we've done Korn, and we've even done Limp Bizkit. But now, we're going to be doing my second favorite band of all time, Slipknot. In my opinion, the most influential and important band of the nu metal era. And I got a special guest with me today, my uncle Jeffrey. How you doing today, Jeffrey?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, honestly.
I was brought in as the Slipknot expert, or I was just...
Yeah, you're brought in for the old Slipknot expert. I'm the new Slipknot expert.
All right, that sounds good.
Because you were there for the first 3 albums. I was there for the later 4 albums from All Hope Is Gone to the end so far, so...
Okay.
Yep. So, we're going to start with an easy one. We're going to start with their self-titled debut. And we can both agree, this is S tier.
Oh, yes. Released in 1999?
Released in 1999 with Corey Taylor on vocals and 9 members in total. From Joey Jordison to Craig.
Jim Root.
Yep, Jim Root to the guy.
Gray.
Yeah. Joey Gray and Sean, also known as the Clown.
Right.
And honestly, this album is like a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. I love this thing from the opening of Sick to the closer of Scissors, and even the bonus track Ior. Also, fun fact for all of you, if you don't know this, if you actually own the CD, there's a hidden track inside of the band just messing around. And even Corey vomiting like a maniac saying, I gotta stop, man, I went too hard.
Yeah, you have to wait like 5 minutes or something.
Oh yeah, it's like 5 minutes of silence, but... Oh, it's something special. But my personal standouts for this album are Surfacing, Wait and Bleed, Sick, Eyeless. I also love Liberate, Only One, No Life, and Me Inside. I even love Tattered and Torn. That one took a second to grow on me, but I love it now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're all... That is one of the albums I could put on start to finish. Just listen all the way through. I don't think there's a bad track on it. And a lot of them, as soon as the opening riff hits, it just...
Oh, it just grabs you and just, says, you're going to listen to this, you asshole.
Yeah, that's one of those ones you wake up on Friday and have to go to work, and you just get in the car and turn it all the way up.
Oh, yeah. But next up is Iowa. And, well, I rank this at A+, but where do you rank it, Jeffrey? Do you give it an S?
It could... Probably A+. Nothing's as good as the first time, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Plus, this one's more fun, in my opinion. This one is just this is near black metal, but with good production, because it is so genuinely horrific and disgusting. Fun fact about the title track of Iowa, you know Corey Taylor actually got naked and would cut himself with glass to do his screams on that track, actually?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he did. I'm not kidding. This is like a near black metal album with how dark it is. I mean, especially with the opener of 515, which is, I believe their DJ. Do you remember the DJ's name?
I don't.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to remember the DJ's name. I'm brain farting. Sorry, y'all, but the DJ actually came in after his father died and just had a mental breakdown and just started screaming in the mic. And that's how this album opens, for God's sakes. But, I mean, my personal standouts for this one is People Equal Shit, Disaster Piece, Everything Ends, The Heretic Anthem. Also, Gently, Left Behind, and The Shape is amazing. I also love I Am Hated. And Skin Ticket is probably my favorite deeper cut on here, actually. I also have a soft spot for New Abortion and Metabolic. The only track that I think is a little too long is the title track, Iowa. I just think it kind of meanders just a little bit, which is the main thing that keeps this out of perfection. It's just a little meandering, in my opinion. But how about you, Jeffrey?
Yeah. I think this is where they started kind of turning toward more mainstreamish metal. Because Left Behind. People Equal Shit was on the Resident Evil soundtrack, I think it was.
I think it was My Plague.
You're right, My Plague, yeah.
Yeah, My Plague.
But that's when more people started taking notice of Slipknot. That's where I feel like the sound kind of started its shift.
It did a little bit. I would argue that this is their most pissed off and heavy album. But I do agree, this is like the one time where things started to get a little bit more cleaned up, started to get sound a little bit more fine. Let's say that. It started to sound more crystal
More
clear.
productive.
Yeah.
Production.
Yeah, I would say, I would argue there is better production, but I would argue the debut is more fun and more consistent all the way through.
Well, the debut felt more to me was like, here we are, this is what we do, like us or not, F off.
Yeah, pretty much, and I love that, honestly.
And this album, to me, right, like I said, started the turn to, well, wait a minute, we need to get our stuff on soundtracks, on radio, we need to get money, you know.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And between this album and I think the next album is when all the Stone Sour, Murder Dolls, side projects and stuff started happening too.
Murder Dolls for sure. Stone Sour actually existed a little before Slipknot, fun fact.
Well,
but this was when they dropped their debut album. They had a couple demos before Corey joined Slipknot, but that's when they dropped their debut album. Was a little after this in 2002, I believe, because this dropped in 2001. Believe it or not, about a week before 9/11 happened. Fun fact for you all.
But yeah, so I think this, right, people started, getting pulled in separate directions, so the sound was never quite the same to me.
Yeah, I agree with that. But next up is Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses. And, okay, I actually love this album. I know you don't. Like, I would give this an S, but where would you rank it, though? Just in your own opinion.
I'm going to be honest. Most of these albums I couldn't rank because I didn't listen to.
Okay, I mean...
let's see, hold on. Let me pull up. I just need to look at the names. Yeah.
Yeah, because, I don't know, I mean, I love, like, The Blister Resist, 3-Nil, Duality, Opium of the People. I also love Welcome, Vermilion, Pulse of the Maggots.
I think the only one on the album that I even really listened to was Pulse of the Maggots.
Yeah, I don't know. I love this album from beginning to end, but I can understand if you don't love it because a little bit of history time for y'all. Corey actually blew his voice out after Iowa. That's why he's singing much more on this one instead of screaming, because he did actual vocal cord damage to himself. Also, other fun fact, this is actually the hardest album for Corey to go back to, because where Iowa was like the peak of drug use and anger, this is the depressive after party. This is where after
the Hangover, huh?
Yeah, this is the Hangover album. And I love it, but I can understand why it's not for everyone. But I would personally put this behind the debut, though. Debu's ass. This is like my second favorite, though. But yeah, but next up though is All Hope Is Gone, and I don't love it as much. This is a significant drop, but I would still give it like an A- personally. I still really, my personal two standouts for here are Psychosocial and where is it? This Cold Black, but it also has some standout negatives like Gehenna and Dead Memories. I don't like those two songs very much. I still give them a 7 because they've performed well, but I don't like them. Like if I'm looking at them from an objective standpoint, they're fine. But if I'm looking at them from a personal standpoint, if you ask me what I would personally give them, I'd probably give them like a 5, maybe even a 4. But I'm being objective. I'm not being subjective. So.
Yeah, I think this was, what do you got? S through B plus.
Yeah, I got S through B plus.
Personally, this to me would be B plus or worse, but that's just because
if it wasn't for the next album, this would be B plus, in my opinion.
Well, the problem I have with this album is this to me was where it really was like, this is not the Slipknot that I know.
Yeah, I kind of
because and the song that you named, Psychosocial. Yeah. That's the one that just killed me because, whereas before, there was a certain type of people who listened to Slipknot.
Yeah.
Young, angry, at adolescence.
Yeah.
But when Psychosocial hit like the radios and back then music videos, right, next thing you know, you had all kinds of, oh, I love Slipknot, and it's like, one song they sung, and so, right, this one to me, and just because of that, not actually because of the music of it, but just because that's really where it got really weird, because people were like, oh, I love Slipknot, and it's like,
There is one thing that does piss me off about Psychosocial, actually. The collaboration with the Justin Bieber song. I think it's Justin Bieber's Baby with Psychosocial. That and the banjo cover, too. It's weird, but I don't really like all the remixes of it.
I don't think I've ever heard either of those.
Yeah, it's weird.
They both sound terrible, though.
They are pretty terrible, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like they're like meme songs, but you know what? Actually, now I think about it, I will drop it to a B plus. Actually, now that I think about it,
and it's like, not for me, but even for you, it sounded like the first 3 albums, you were like, oh, this song, like banger, banger, banger. And then this one, you're like, 2 or 3.
Yeah, I still
are
like
great, but then. Yeah. There's more okay songs.
Yeah, I would say there's some good songs on there, like Geometria and Child of Burning Time, which are also pretty good. Not amazing, but pretty good. But I think if I'm being objective, I'll give this a B plus. But for the Gray Chapter, though, where do you think we should stick the Gray Chapter? Honestly,
that's a rough one.
It is. It does have its standouts, though. Like, I still really love Skeptic and the Negative One in particular. Those are my 2 standouts. Sarcastrophe is also decent, along with AOV. Lech is also pretty good, along with Nomadic. And Custer is pretty good, even though the FF Up You Up is seriously cringe, in my opinion.
This one was rough because it's the first album without Paul Gray.
Yeah, rest in peace, Paul Gray, because he died after All Hope Is Gone. Rest in peace to him. Also, this is the first album where Joey got kicked, too.
Yeah, see, so that, to me, that one hit really hard because...
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. Slipknot, to me, right, I know Corey Taylor is the lead singer, but he was never the dude for me.
No.
It was Joey and Paul and Jim Root. Like, that dude played guitar like... And Joey with the double pedal drums. I mean, I know now it's probably common people just kill the drums, but
it is.
Back then he was like doing it.
I mean, even to now, I still think he is the best drummer of all time. I know he's not the most technical drummer. If you look at it from a technical standpoint, they're stronger, but I mean, name one other guy that can carry 140 beat while doing double bass pedals, while spinning upside down, while having fire shoot at him. I have never seen another artist other than Joey do that. Like that takes some serious skill to be in that fast, hanging upside down, all the blood rushing to your head.
So this album, that's where it was rough because they lost a lot of members. Well, they lost key people.
Yeah.
And so I feel like they were trying to find their new sound.
Yeah, because I think this is the point, because I believe before this, Joey and Paul, and I think Sean did most of the lyrical writing. I think this is the point where Corey started to take over just a little bit. Because Corey did have involvement even on the debut with Eyeless, because that's about him meeting a homeless man and him screaming, you can't reach heaven without my mother father's eyes. So Corey did have involvement, but this is like the point where he fully took over.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. I mean, that's why I kind of want to bump All Hope Is Gone to A-, because we're not, spoiler alert, y'all, we're not going to have anything else in A-. So,
yeah.
But yeah, next up is We're Not Your Kind. And, well, I'm going to be honest, I really do like this album, actually. Like, I really love tracks like Unsainted, Soul Firth, Nero Forte, Red Flag. Spiders is also great. One of their weirdest songs they've ever done, though, with Spiders, though. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, 2019, so...
Yeah.
20 years after their debut album. So, right. And this was the album when I heard All Sainted was the first song. I think they released it before the album.
Yeah, Unsainted was one of the
Yeah.
singles. I believe Nero Forte was the other single, and I think Zoe Firth was the final single.
But right, when I heard Unsainted, that was like, that is the Slipknot I know.
Yeah, it's like almost a return to form, but
right. And then but they're not all heavy because like the Liar's Funeral
yeah,
and the Orphan. I mean, they're just good. I thought that was a really good album, and right, that's another one that I could listen to from beginning to end.
yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I'm not the biggest fan of My Pain though, personally.
Yeah,
Um, Orphan's okay in my opinion, but I really prefer A Liar's Funeral personally, and I also think some of the interludes don't work very well. Like, for example, I'm not really a big fan of Death Becomes Death or Insert Coin.
yeah.
So some of the interludes kind of drag it down for me a little bit to an A tier. But what are you feeling like? You feeling like A plus or
No, I
S?
think about A, but because to me it's not as good as Iowa, and it sure is not good as the debut.
Yeah,
So,
that is true. It's nowhere near as good as the debut. But next up is The End So Far. And this is a very interesting album for me to talk about personally. Because, for one, this was released after Joey's death. And rest in peace, Joey Jordison. Like, literally one of the goats of drumming. The best metal drummer of all time, in my opinion. We can debate that in the comments, but I stand by that. But, in my opinion, this thing does have some great moments like the Dying Song, the Chapeltown Rag, and Warranty, especially. I love those three moments. I also really like Hive Mind and Medicine for the Dead and Heirloom. I also really love Final and Desaad. The weakest moments for me are Acidic and Yin, personally, but even then, they're still like an 8 out of 10. They're not bad, but those are the weakest moments, in my opinion.
mm. I actually had never heard this album. I listened to 3 songs on the way down here, but didn't make it through any of them. But it's the first 3.
Yeah.
Uh, what is it? Adderall, the Dying Song, and
The Chapeltown Rag.
yeah, and those 3 to me were not great. I mean, I would continue to listen to the rest of the album to see, but the 3 first tracks to me weren't great, and it's like
See,
you want your first 3 tracks to be great. You want it to pull people in to want to listen to the rest.
See, Adderall I can kind of get. It's almost like a classic rock track in weird ways. Like,
Right.
kind of reminds me of like Chicago or The Who. Maybe a touch of like more symphonic Van Halen in there. You know, like Fair Warning Van Halen or what is it? I'm brain fart. Oh, 5150 Van Halen. Kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Like, I kind of like that because I like that style, but I can understand if that's not for everyone, though.
I just don't like my Slipknot like that.
I can understand that, but I do think at least the Dying Song and the Chapeltown Rag at least go pretty hard. I would also say that very much the same for Warranty. Like, that's the one song I recommend you check out from here. It's like Warranty. But for me, I do like it a little bit more than We Are Not Your Kind. I almost want to put it like behind Iowa, but I think I'm being too generous. I think I'm gonna put it.
You would have to decide that. I didn't listen enough to.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna put it at the top of A. I think I'm gonna leave Iowa by itself because like this is like if we weren't only doing 2 per tier, this would be an S. You know what I mean? But personal rule of mine, I'm only doing 2 per tier because it makes it more interesting. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of challenge ourselves a little bit. Yeah, got to make the hard decisions. But that should do it.
Now, just curious, out of all of those albums, what's the best song off the album?
Oh, if you want my opinion on that one, personally, I think "Spit It Out" is the best. The "Blister Assist" for the subliminal verses is the best. I think the "Heretic Anthem" or maybe "Skin Ticket" is the best off of Iowa. We can go back and forth between these two. I think "Warranty" is the best off this one. I think "Nero Forte" is the best off of this one. And I personally think probably this Cold Black is probably the best. And for this one, I think Skeptic is the best. It's actually a pretty touching tribute to Paul Gray because they're going like, we will never have, and this is the one time I want to say the F word, y'all, so brace yourselves. We will never have another crazy motherfucker like you. That we'll never have a great man like you. And it's like, that actually hits very hard, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But if this is my ranking though, is the self-titled, then the Subliminal Verses, then Iowa, then the Insofar, then We Are Not Your Kind, then All Hope Is Gone, and then at the bottom, point 0.5, the Gray Chapter. So, drop your own rankings in the comments. I would actually greatly appreciate that. But that should do it. Any final thoughts for you, Jeffrey?
Nope.
Alrighty then. Well, that should do it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And everyone, you have a great day. Take care, everyone.